everybody, my name is ZealetPrince. Welcome back to yet another reaction. And today I'm reacting to another SCP, and this time it's also by Dr. Bob. Today we're reacting to SCP-5019, Loopy Lily, with the capitals in lowercases in and out for that title. I'm not sure what this SCP is going to be about. All I know is that it's a Keter class, and the thumbnail seemed a little bit interesting, so I wanted to check it out. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get right into this bad boy. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Bang, bang, bang. The woman wakes with a fright, her heart already hammering. What was that noise? She sits up in bed and wipes the sleep out of her eyes, feeling the woozy concoction of adrenaline and exhaustion. Bang, bang, bang. There it is again. The noise is coming from downstairs somewhere. She goes and, with trembling hands, grabs the lamp from the side of her bed. It's pretty heavy at the base, and she reckons worst comes to worst, she could do a good bit of damage with it. She tiptoes out onto the landing and hears the thumping noise downstairs again. Sure enough, it's her front door. She hears muffled voices outside squabbling with one another. She peers around down the staircase, just in time to see whoever it is outside hammering at her door again. The hinges are starting to break. The wood is starting to bend. Surely it can't hold out for much. The door splinters and crashes open.
Whoa.
A crowd of hooded figures run into the house. There's so many of them that she doesn't have a hope of trying to fight her way out of this. She rushes back to her bedroom and looks around wildly for a place to hide. She can't go under the bed, there's no space, and she doesn't have a proper wardrobe, just a clothes rail that she hangs all her stuff on. More importantly, she doesn't have time to waste now. The burglars are going to be in here any second. She grabs all of the clothes off the clothes rail and rushes over to the corner of the room. She curls up as small as she can in a ball.
It's a smart idea.
And throws the clothes all over herself. Hopefully,
make it look like a pile.
The robbers will think that she's just a pile of dirty laundry and leave her alone. You can hear voices now amid the crashing sounds downstairs. It sounds like they're in her lounge, going through her Blu-ray collection. Why on earth would they be wanting to look at her Blu-rays? Surely they could just grab the TV and the consoles and run out the door.
PlayStation 5.
The voices are getting louder and louder, with real notes of frustration. It doesn't sound like they're robbing the place. It sounds like they're looking for something. Like they've come here searching for something specific. But what could they possibly be after? She's not rich. If anything, she's pretty broke. The door to her bedroom flies open, and a group of people fills her room. This isn't just a smash and grab with a couple of individuals. There must be well over a dozen people in her house right now. She holds her breath and does her best to stay as still as possible. Peering out through the small gap in the clothes, she tries to make out who it is that's ransacked her place. And to her surprise, she realizes they're not a group of thugs at all. They're teenagers. None of them look much older than 15. They're all dressed in hoodies and trying their best to cover their faces, but it's obvious from how big they are, they're just kids. The woman's fear subsides slightly. She could easily take any of them in a fight. Maybe not all of them at once, but
yeah, not all
she feels
at
a
once.
growing sense of confidence. More than that, she feels a growing sense of curiosity. What could a bunch of teenagers want from her? The loudest one in the room has her phone out. Its light spills onto her face, and the woman realizes she isn't even bothering to wear a mask. She's talking to her camera, and as the woman glances at the screen, she sees messages popping up from the chat feed at the bottom. Is she live streaming this? As if she's heard her thoughts, the girl proudly announces, "That's right, it's your girl Loopy Hunter coming in right now. We're going out live on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Insta. I've got my boy Sparkles downstairs raiding the hard drive, but I'm up in the bedroom right now looking for a laptop." Hard drive? Laptop? What could any of these teenagers want from her files? Then, the penny drops. "We're gonna find it today. The Lost Episode, Season 3, Episode 15, Ick Day. We're writing the next chapter in meme history. You better be screen recording, because we're about to be arrested for this." The woman had been to her most recent Comic-Con about 8 years ago. It had definitely been time to pack it in. The 4 days that she was there, sitting at her booth with stacks of photos ready to sign, she'd had a grand total of 7 people come by. There's nothing more disheartening than watching your popularity steadily dwindle and not really having an answer for it. Loopy Lily had been a flash in the pan. Everyone in the team had known that, except the top execs. It just so happened to catch a zeitgeist. It aired at just the right time on Saturday morning and featured the voice work of the young actress who would go on to be a Disney Channel star. The success of the show wasn't necessarily based on the strength of its writing, but success was success, and the woman had enjoyed it while it lasted. She got to move to LA for the start of season 2, and wrote every episode up until the 3rd season, where they fired the original staff to go in a different direction. Safe to say there would be no further seasons for a reason. Still, she couldn't resent it too much. For a few glorious years, she'd got to live her dream of being a successful writer in Hollywood. Sadly for her, most of the money had dried up, but she just about managed to scrape together enough for a modest house in the Midwest where she could live on her own and take nice walks in the country. As far as she was concerned, Loopy Lily was long behind her. That was at least until she became a meme.
Was that Pop
A
Me?
generation of teenagers who had grown up watching Loopy Lily as 5-year-olds all of a sudden now had internet access and phones. Nostalgia bait was a huge thing, as the woman quickly
Wait, how
discovered.
recent is this? Oh, 3 months ago. That explains why Pomni's there. Alright, never mind. I thought this
If
one
you
was
could
a little bit
remember
older.
Something that was really niche from your childhood, something that you hadn't thought about in years, it had a good chance of going viral. And Loopy Lily, being the
True.
very popular but
Very true.
underwritten juggernaut that it was, had the perfect concoction of forgettability and dated animation. All of a sudden, Loopy Lily was somehow cool again. The woman had to admit she didn't get it. She put on a couple of old episodes out of curiosity, but found that it was even worse than she'd remembered. If anything, she was a bit embarrassed to have had a hand in writing it. But all these teenagers online were going nuts about it, and at the height of the meme was Season 3, Episode 15, Ick Day. Sitting at her computer, the woman really doesn't get it. She has to watch a YouTube video explaining something called the Mandela effect to understand what on earth is happening. Hey guys,
I
and
forgot
welcome
what
back
that
to the
is.
channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let me ask you a question. What color is the tip of Pikachu's tail? The woman thinks for a second. Black. Pikachu's got a tail that's yellow at the base and then black or brown at the tip. You're wrong. It's yellow. Huh? Another question. What does Snow White say to the mirror on her wall? Well, that's an easy one. She can picture the scene from the movie in her head now. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Well, I'm afraid you're wrong again. She actually says, magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The woman sits back in her chair and crosses her arms. That's strange. What you're experiencing there is a phenomenon known as the Mandela effect. It's a kind of group misremembrance. For some reason, there are certain events and moments in history that a large number of the population remember in a factually incorrect way. The phenomenon gets its name from a study that found that a number of people believed that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s. Many of them could recount in fair detail seeing his widow giving a speech on television and watching extensive news coverage about the event, even though Mandela actually died in 2013. In fact, the reason you're probably watching this video right now is that there seems to be a new Mandela effect taking the internet by storm. Ick Day, episode 15 of Loopy Lily's 3rd season. The woman finishes the video and gets up to go out for her usual walk. What kind of thing do all these teenagers remember about the episode? She walks through the woods, scrolling through her phone, looking at Twitter threads, subreddits, and YouTube comments. Oh man, I remember that episode. It was really horrific. You see Lily dragging her little lamb outside and beating it? They had blood and everything. It really scarred me.
What?
S3E15 was creepy AF. I watched it when it aired, and it was all about her being sick in bed, but it was this big metaphor for mental health. She just steadily goes insane and starts threatening to unalive her parents and stuff. Ick Day's just some creepypasta, guys. It was a 4chan thing or something from a few years ago. No one actually believes that. I definitely saw in the news that they'd banned it from a worldwide release because it was giving people epileptic fits. My school even had a letter go out to parents to warn them. The more the woman reads, the more she starts to laugh. She has no idea where all these stories have come from, but they're all total nonsense. She remembers that episode. It takes her a minute, but it's clear enough in her head now. She'd written it, and the studio had animated most of it. But without warning, the executive producers decided to cut it from the series. It hadn't been very good, and they already had enough episodes to fill the slot. That was it. There were no broken bones, gruesome murders, killer pathogens, or mental health metaphors. It was just a very normal Saturday morning cartoon episode about a girl who's too sick to go to school. The whole reason they'd cut it was because nothing interesting happened at all. She laughs and puts her phone back in her pocket, enjoying the fresh air. When she gets back home later that evening, she logs onto Twitter and shares a post about the episode. It's the most attention the show has gotten in close to a decade, and she's surprised to see she's picked up almost 1,000 new followers out of thin air. Could meme everyone making up fake stories about the episode. It was never released, and trust me, I think you'd all be very disappointed to learn why. She grins to herself. That's a good post. She'll get a few replies from people with more traffic, but she's also not giving any false promises. She gets up to make dinner, and when she sits down at her computer again, her eyes go wider than the dinner plate she's about to eat off of. 3,100 replies. She laughs and cracks her knuckles, opening the first one. Exactly, thank you. I always said it was pulled for being too violent, and now I have proof. Okay, clearly that person hadn't read what she'd written at all. She ignores it and goes on to the next. At Bacon's Forever, at Cash339. See? I wasn't making up that seizure. Defo happened. What is going on? The woman looks back at her original tweet to make sure that she hadn't left in some stupid typo or phrased anything awkwardly. But no, it was clear as day. What was everyone doing?
Going on?
It's like they'd read something totally different from what she'd written. She starts to go through and reply to people, clarifying her original point and trying to make sure that she isn't being misrepresented at all. But all the while, more and more tweets are flooding in replying to her, with each person somehow confirming their own previously held beliefs. A few of them even quote parts of her tweet that weren't originally there. Is she going crazy? Has she lost command of the English language? She goes across to Reddit and finds a similar thing happening almost straight away. Someone shared a screenshot of her tweet, and all the comments underneath are interpreting it in totally different ways. Sighing, she makes a Reddit account so that she can start replying to all of these people to clear up any confusion. Hours go by, and before she realizes it, it's almost 2 in the morning, and she is absolutely furious. The more she tweets, posts comments, and replies, the more frustrated she feels. Nobody is listening to her. It's like an elaborate game of telephone where everyone seems to fall apart after just the second person in the line. She reads one particularly disconcerting comment. We're gonna find your address and come and get the proof you've been promising. The hunt for the missing episode is almost over. Deciding that she's done with the internet, potentially
Yeah, that's an
forever,
immediate red flag.
the woman logs off and takes herself off to bed. Hiding under the pile of clothes in the corner of her room, the woman couldn't do anything but watch as the teenagers found her laptop and yanked the screen open unceremoniously. It was password protected, and much to her relief, none of the teenagers had any clue what the password could be. Come on, hurry up. We need to show the world once and for all that Loopy Lily was really a ploy to take down the Catholic Church. Exactly. It predicted COVID years ago to a T. I know, right? Can't wait for the scene that the KGB plays to torture their hostages. It's like all of these kids are speaking different languages to one another. Not one of them seems to remotely understand what the others are saying, so obsessed with their own theories. Maybe she's written the password down somewhere. I'll check through the notebooks. You check through the pockets of her clothes. The woman's stomach sinks. What looks like a 14-year-old boy starts to walk over to her hiding spot. There's nothing for it. The woman leaps to her feet, throwing the clothes off her in what she hopes is an intimidating display of power. In reality, a pair of her boxers get stuck on the top of her head and flap around awkwardly as she shouts. She tells the kids that the police are on their way. That would have been a good idea. And that they need to get out of her house this instant.
They're not going to listen, are they?
They all stand in stone silence. Then smiles break out across all of their faces, and they rush over to her excitedly. I knew it! I knew you'd pulled the episode yourself for fear it would overshadow the rest of the show. Oh, it's so great to hear it straight from your mouth. Loopy Lily was actually dead the whole time, and the show was about a descent into hell. What are these kids talking about? She hadn't said a word about Loopy Lily. She tries to repeat herself to tell them that the police are coming, and that they need to leave this instant. But her adoring fans only seem to grow more enamored with the stories that they're hearing from her mouth. When she says a threat, their eyes light up with excitement as they hear her revealing the most treasured secrets of the show. She tries to physically usher them out of the house. She can't hit them, obviously, because they're kids, but she does her best to push them and herd them toward the door, leading them out into the street. They just crowd around her on the sidewalk, asking more and more questions, not listening to a word she has to say. The woman can do nothing but stand there helpless. Does anyone in the world understand her anymore? But then, she catches glimpses of their phone screens. Heart emojis flood the chats. 600K viewers on one phone, 1 million on another.
Whoa.
The whole world is watching her. And they're all loving what she has to say. Anytime she talks, Fresh waves of messages fill the chats, and a dozen voices around her call out in surprise and joy. Before she can stop it, a smile spreads across her face, and she opens her arms wide, beginning to tell the crowd the story of Loopy Lily right from the start. Keter-class SCPs are the ones that
Okay,
are
here we go.
hardest to contain.
Explanation time.
Members can range from problematic teleporters
'Cause that was
to veritable
confusing as hell.
world-destroying nightmare creatures. SCP-5019 falls into the same classification, but hopefully poses virtually no threat to the existence of humanity. The reason why it is in this class is that despite the Foundation's best efforts, it seems virtually impossible to contain. Foundation
Really?
web crawlers scour the internet day in and day out, tracking any website or thread that mentions the TV show Loopy Lily. Previous attempts have been made to suppress any mention of the show, but this has proven ineffective. IP addresses and those talking about the show are tracked, and agents are deployed to administer amnestics to the users who make the initial reference. This is one of the rare instances where the Foundation's amnestics have proven totally ineffective. No matter
Really?
the dosage or strength, subjects will not forget about Loopy Lily. Specifically, they will not forget Season 3, Episode 15, Ick Day. Dubbed the Lost Episode by many, this episode was never officially aired. There's no record of its broadcast in any country, and no copies of the episode itself have ever been recovered. And yet, a large proportion of this show's target demographic recalls something about the episode. Recollections vary from individual to individual, with the common traits being that the episode was censored, destroyed, made up, or only broadcast once. Many individuals report quite extreme reasons for the episode's status, citing excessive violence, explicit content, darkness, or other disturbing elements. Other individuals believe that it doesn't exist at all, and is part of a wider conspiracy made up by trolls online, or is even connected to various government-level conspiracy theories. The truth is quite simple. Ick Day was never released. It was written and mostly animated, but was cancelled prior to release by the studio. The lead writer, Nicola Myers, referred to here on out as POI 5019, has explained on numerous occasions the unremarkable backstory of the episode. Those unaffected by SCP-5019 believe the same. They have a recollection of Season 3, Episode 15, never making it to air for unremarkable reasons. And yet, those affected by SCP-5019 seem unable to comprehend any attempts to explain this. Not only do they fail to understand what the other person is telling them, they actively believe that the person is reinforcing their own beliefs. It appears that a large number of people online who engage in discussions about the lost episode believe that all of their peers are agreeing with their viewpoint, even when they are explicitly stating the opposite. As confusing as this is, the Foundation believes that this does not pose a significant threat to the general population. It does make you wonder, though.
Really?
Is there really any truth to anything you see online? Check out the Dr. Bob Patreon and become
we're
a
at the end.
junior researcher today. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob.
Besides being absolutely confused, that was not at all where I thought this video was going to be going. To me, it just seems like a cognito hazard that starts as a Twitter trend post and then people just see it as their own way, as Bob explained. But that's what I believe. That was genuinely very confusing. I don't know what else truly to say other than that, truly. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's reaction video regardless. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.